Hey there! Today I'm going to show you how you can create children's Spot the Difference activity pages that you can use in a full Spot the Difference activity book or as part of a book that contains a variety of different activities that you can then sell on the Kindle Direct publishing platform. A little while back I posted this video showing you 5 hidden gem children's book niches that make $1,000+ a month. And if you missed that video, I've linked to it down in the description below. And this was one of those lucrative $1,000+ a month niches. I've also made videos on how to create a few of the other $1,000+ niches, including Connect the Dots and Color by Number. So if you'd like to check those videos out, you can find those links down below as well. Now for today's tutorial, I'm going to be working in Affinity Publisher 2, but if you don't have Affinity Publisher, that's okay. You're still going to be able to follow along using the vector editing software of your choice. The basics of what I'm going to be showing you are essentially going to be the same no matter what program you're using, as long as you are using a vector editing program. Another quick note, Affinity actually does have its own dedicated vector editing software called Affinity Designer, but Publisher actually has all the functionality we need. And since the idea here is to turn these pages into a book anyways, it actually makes the most sense to do everything all in the actual desktop publishing software, which is what Publisher is. All right, let's get started. I'm Rachel Harrison-Sun, and I help online entrepreneurs make more money so they can live more life. If you are new to the idea of low-content publishing and want to learn how you can generate passive income creating and selling low-content books on the Kindle Direct publishing platform, please download my free guide, 3 Steps to Publishing Your First Low-Content Book in Less Than a Day, by clicking on the link in the description below. You can also please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell. If you hit the bell, you're going to be notified every time I publish a new video each Monday.
First thing you'll need to do is to find some artwork that you can use. Now, you can obviously create the artwork yourself if you're so inclined and are fortunate enough to have that skill. If not, you can find some artwork from a reputable stock image website. I absolutely love Creative Fabrica. And if you sign up for this free trial, you'll get instant access to 6 million plus beautiful fonts and graphics. You'll get your first 10 downloads for free, and there is commercial use allowed on all of these resources. If you want to keep it up, it's $9 a month and you can cancel at any time, no questions asked. I have linked to that down below. Now, wherever you choose to get your graphics from, really make sure to thoroughly review the image license before using any stock images, just to make sure that you are in full compliance. Now, I'm on Creative Fabrica right now, and I have just simply gone to graphics, and I have gone down to coloring books, kids. Coloring book pages are really great to use for an activity book like this, basically because they're already fully complete scenes, and there's going to be multiple pages that you can use. So that is what I would recommend. Now, one thing to note is you're going to need specific file types, so you're not going to be able to use any of these. You want to make sure you're looking for vector files. So that's .eps, .ai, .svg. That means they're going to be directly editable in a vector editing program. Now, I have already gone ahead and I have chosen this Valentine's themed group of coloring pages. Valentine's Day is coming up, so and I thought these were kind of cute. So again, commercial usage allowed. And this comes in AI and EPS format, which is perfect. Now, in terms of the actual artwork itself, you can choose artwork that's as simple or complex as you like, as long as you obviously have the skills to be able to manipulate it in your vector editing software. So simple shapes that don't have any shading, they're going to be a lot easier to edit. Just keep that in mind. Another thing is, if you want to make a lot of really complex edits, you're going to want to do this in Affinity Designer. So Affinity Designer is the vector editing program out of the Affinity suite. And again, I've chosen Publisher simply because I'm going to be doing some very minor vector editing here. And I would compile this as a book in Affinity Publisher anyway, so I'm just kind of cutting out a step. But if you open up your file and you really want to make some more complex vector edits, then it's a good idea to do that in Affinity Designer, which is the dedicated vector editing program. These are going to be simple, so I'm going to keep it in Affinity Publisher. So let's go ahead over to Affinity Publisher. I'm going to open up a new document. Now I'm just going to keep this at letter. So that's 8.5 by 11. 8 by 10 is another really popular size, so you could do that as well. So document unit inches, got my page width and height here. Pages, I'm going to do facing pages. Now I'm doing facing pages for layout purposes only. This is going to be a spot the difference. So I'm going to have one version of the image on one page and the other version on the other page. So that's why I'm doing this as facing. When you go to export this, you do not want to export it as facing pages. So we'll get to that at the end, but just keep that in mind. Number of pages, I'm just going to do 3 for now, and you'll see why in a moment. Color, unless you decide to do color, we're not going to worry about. I'm going to keep this in black and white, and that way it can double up as coloring book as well. Margin, I'm just going to do 1 inch all the way around. And we don't need a bleed because we're not going to have any images that extend past the edge of the page. And then we'll hit create. Now on my first page here, I'm just going to import that entire AI file, or the EPS file rather. So I'm going to go to File, Place, go to my Downloads folder, there it is, and I'm going to put the EPS file in there. Of course, if you're editing this in Illustrator, then you can choose the AI file, but we're going to choose EPS. And I'm just going to plunk that in there. There we go. And now I'm just going to isolate one of these. I kind of like this robot. That's really cute. So I'm just going to double click in there. And once I've double clicked, it's sort of, Affinity Publisher will open up this other tab. So this can be confusing in the beginning. You might wonder where you've gone, but the original document is right here up to the left. So we're just in the right here. I'm going to just get rid of that little border, and then I'm just going to choose this entire page. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to go back to this other tab, which is my original document. I'm going to go to this page, and I'm going to plunk it down there. Now, if you'd like to see your margins, you can just go up to View, Show Margins. And I'm just going to adjust the sizing here. Now, these margins do feel a little bit big, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball it a little bit. Actually, I'm going to want some room for some writing on the top, so maybe I will keep it as is. And maybe I'll just adjust this border a little bit. In fact, I'm just going to go up and quickly readjust the margins. So File, a document setup. And I'm just going to do 1/2 inch. Okie dokie. That is a bit better. I'm going to leave some room at the top, like I said, just to add a little bit of text. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually do one entire spot the difference per page. So basically you would just split each page up into 2. I'm going to keep this a little bit bigger here and just do it across an entire spread. So I'm just going to copy it right over to the other spread. And probably a good idea off the bat to choose how many differences you're going to create. So I think let's keep this simple. We'll do something like 5. So I'm just going to grab the text tool here. And I'll just do my text box. And can you spot 5 differences? And you can pick a font. Let's do this. And we'll just center that. And I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the margin so we don't have to see it. I'm just going to put this into preview mode. And that's just going to let us see what it's going to look like without any of the text boxes or margins or anything getting in the way. All right, so there's a couple of different ways that you can do this, and I kind of suggest a mixture of both. You can either do this by adding elements or you can subtract elements. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of both. So we've got our original image on the left, and then we're going to do our 5 differences on the right. So first, one easy thing we could do, we could just take one of these hearts and we could add another one over here. And again, it's up to you how complex, how difficult you want to make this. So just keep in mind your intended age group before you get too crazy with it. You know, just the style of this artwork definitely looks like it's geared more toward a younger audience. So I don't want to make it too sophisticated here. So just small changes I think are good. All right, so we've got our first difference there, which is the heart. For the next one, maybe we can change one of the shapes here. So maybe this dude, instead of a heart, maybe he's got a star. So we can go over here. There's a bunch of shape tools here. Let's go ahead and do a star. Lots of different shapes here you can use, which is very cool. And I'm just gonna drag it out, holding the shift key just to constrain the proportion so it doesn't get all warped. And then we'll have to adjust the color. So we don't really want any color in there, so I'm just gonna turn the color off. I do want that black stroke though. And then I'll go over to stroke and I'll try it at 1 point. You obviously want to make it match the thickness of the strokes around it. So that looks a little bit thin. So let's maybe try 2. That looks too thick. Let's try 1.5. That looks about right. And I'll just make sure that's kind of centered properly. All right, that looks about right. So that is our second difference. Now, how about we go ahead and give the missus some freckles. So again, I'm just going to use a shape tool. I'm going to go back to the little ellipse and we'll just draw some cute little freckles. Now for this one, I don't want a stroke. I just want a fill. And let's make that black. And we'll just do a little copy and paste there. Maybe make it slightly bigger. All right, so I'm just doing Option and then dragging, and that'll just let me create a copy and paste. You could also do like Command C, Command V. But I'm just Option clicking and dragging. So we've got our 3 little freckles there. And then I'm just going to select all of them and I'm going to do the Option drag again. And I can hold the Shift key down as I'm dragging it so that that will keep it in a straight line. Now just a quick note, I'm on a Mac. If you're on a PC, rather than Option, you'll use the Alt key. It's basically the same function. Now we drag this over, but we need to reverse it. So I'm just going to go up to Edit. All right, so I'm just going to go up to Layer. I'm going to go down to Transform, and then flip horizontal. Perfect. All right. So that was our third difference. Now for the fourth one, let's try something a little bit more complex. So let's go ahead and remove this bow. Now, depending on the artwork that you download and depending on the program that you're using, you might get lucky and each one of these elements will be on a separate layer that you would literally just be able to click on and you'd just be able to remove the whole bow at the same time. Now, oftentimes when an artist is creating vector artwork, they won't leave the layers intact like that on the finished piece. Everything will be turned into a compound shape, which means that, as you can see here, this bow is no longer a separate element from the square behind it. That's okay. We can still work with this. It's just going to be It's just going to take a little bit more work. Now this is probably going to be the most complex thing you can achieve if you're just using Publisher. Anything that's a little bit more complex than this in terms of editing these shapes, you definitely want to do that in Designer. But for now, the way to do this in this program, we're just going to start choosing these nodules, these nodes rather, and we're just going to start deleting them. So I'll just start here. And you'll see some funny stuff starting to happen. That's okay. We will get there. You can do multiple at a time if you want to speed things up, just by holding down the Shift key. And then you can just be choosing multiples at the same time. Just give those a delete. Don't worry about the wonkiness you're seeing. Everything's going to be fine. All right, now when you've kind of like almost got the shape resolved, I'm going to choose one of these nodes and I'm just holding the Shift key to keep it in a straight line. I'm just going to move it right over to the corner. And now hopefully you can kind of see what I'm attempting to do here. I'm going to get rid of that one. Okay, that looks like it's in a nice straight line. Great. So now we'll just have to fix this top portion of this antenna. So let's drag this kind of along here. Do the same on this side. And then we just kind of want to recreate or just use these handles to kind of create this wavy antenna. So if you're not familiar with what these are, they're called Bezier curves. You can just see as I drag the handle, I get different shapes here. So these can actually take a little bit of getting used to if you've never worked with them before, especially if you're drawing your own shapes. But you can get it once you just kind of like play around with it a bit. So you can drag the handles, you can drag the nodes themselves. And you can actually add nodes if you need another one. So I actually think that we do need another one right here. I'm going to press the P, and that is going to give me the pen tool. And now I can just add a nodule there. Then I'm going to go back up here to this direct, to the node tool. And now I've got that node to play with. So let's zoom in a bit. I think I might get rid of that one. And then I'll just use these remaining nodes to kind of create this shape. So just try and get like one side of it in good form, then you can tackle the other side afterward. All right, that looks about right. So I'm just going to kind of zoom out. And you know, this is not a mirror image of this one. That's totally fine. Okay, so now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 differences. So for our last one, maybe let's get rid of the dude's feet. So again, I'm just going to double click and I can just start choosing nodes and deleting them. All right, so there are our 5 differences. Now, if I was actually going to be doing the entire book, I would just add another spread. I would go back to my first sheet and I would just pick the next one. So if you need help compiling your designs into an actual book or help with designing a book cover, I've linked to several other videos that'll take you through both of those processes down in the description below. For now, I'm just going to show you how to export. So of course, you're going to want to delete this artwork page here. Don't worry if this happens because you're not going to be exporting it as a spread anyways. You'll go to File, Export, and you want to make sure that you've chosen PDF, PDF for print. Make sure that you are printing at 300 DPI. If you had a bleed, then you would include that here. But again, for this, you're really not likely to need a bleed. And make sure that you've chosen all pages and not all spreads. If you export your document in spreads, KDP doesn't like that. So you will have to re-upload it as pages. So keep that in mind. Everything else here should be just fine as is. And then you're just going to click Export.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And once again, if you're new to low content publishing and want to learn how you can generate passive income creating and selling low content books on the Kindle Direct Publishing platform, download my free guide, 3 Steps to Publishing Your First Low Content Book in Less Than a Day, by clicking on the link down in the description below. You can also join my free Facebook group, Low Content Profits, also linked to below. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell so you can be notified every time I publish a new video every Monday.